Honorable Speaker, sir, I am thankful to you for admitting this very important call attention motion, sir. Pertaining to the news item, 4 labor codes that everyone is talking about, appearing in the English Daily Business Standard dated 29 December 2021, sir. Sir, the news item speaks about major legislative labor reforms that will help to address the current problems of various employees working in both organized and unorganized sectors, sir, and whose wages will be determined by existing rules and laws, sir. So the news item speaks of amalgamation of 29 labor laws under 4 labor codes. They are Code on Wages, number 2, Code on Social Security, number 3, Code on Industrial Relations, and number 4, Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code, sir. So the Parliament has already approved on these reforms and at the same time entrusted the state governments to approve these codes, and labour being a concurrent subject, sir, as per Schedule 7 of the Constitution of India. So we definitely look forward for the state government to also adopt these reforms for the benefit of the wage earners and labourers across all the organized and unorganized sectors, sir. So this background is very important to highlight also the plight of our wage earners, our contractual employees, and especially those working both in government, semi-government, and even in agencies sponsored by the government, sir. So if you look at the problems of the contractual employees engaged by under various institutions, especially under government institutions, sir, the contractual employees have been given a lump sum amount, lump sum salary, and if you compare the salary given by the agencies that are, or the institutions or government institutions that engage these contractual employees, the salaries, they vary from department to department, sir. For example, if there's a post of driver in Department A, sometimes he's getting paid 7,000. And for the same post, in another Department B, sir, the driver may be paid 10,000 rupees. So, sir, this disparity in the salary needs to be streamlined across all departments, which in fact violates the Basic Minimum Wages Act, and they have not been identified and categorized as either skilled or highly skilled. So this needs streamlining, sir. Moreover, sir, with time, the workers, the youths that are engaged on contractual basis, they also gain experience. Now, that experience also needs to be recognized for a fixation of annual increments or increase in their basic minimum wages, sir. So, there is also a denial of social security services like EPF, ESI, maternity, paternity leave, and annual casual leave or medical leave is also not being fixed. So that being said, if you look at the other sectors, sir, the payment of for the employees that are engaged on daily wage basis in government-sponsored institutions and other institutions as well. So we are seeing a violation again there on the number of days that the laborers are engaged. Firstly, they are engaged on daily wage basis. So every day is important for them, and it is required that the due share in a month should be fixed as per the number of working days. But then considerably, sir, we are saying that over the period of time, they are not actually even getting 26 days. Some are getting 20 days, some are getting 22 days. So that is varying, which affects the earnings of the daily wage laborers, because they don't have any other avenue to go to get employment, sir, because they are fully, maximum of the time they are fully engaged with the institution they were working on. So therefore, sir, there's a deduction in their wages as well. So the third area of concern is the condition of the workers in agencies engaged by government, sir, through its various programs. We have the EMRI 108 services. We have the program implementing agencies engaged under skill development programs like DDU, JKY. if you look at the working conditions and salaries paid to these workers, they are totally in violation of the Minimum Wages Act. Therefore, these very agencies that have been engaged by the government through its various developmental programs, either health or skill development, these agencies are also violating the Minimum Wages Act, sir. Therefore, sir, I request the Honourable Minister, sir, to perhaps take note and to inspect these agencies, sir, especially the AMRI 108 services, these program implementing agencies who are companies that are engaged by the government under the skill development program. They be inspected, the records be inspected, so at least there is no violation, sir, of the basic minimum wages that is due to our youths who are working under these agencies, sir. Sir, on a closing note, I would also request the Honourable Minister to kindly state the actual status of the steps taken by the state government, sir, to undertake the task of adopting the new codified rules as passed by Parliament, so that will be beneficial for all the youths who are engaged in various employment avenues of government and semi-government, informal and informal, now on the informal and formal sector, so that their whatever are their dues, their salaries, their rights, their social security services, they are protected as per the new codification of the rules, sir. So these are my brief submissions, which I request the attention of the Honourable Minister concerned, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, sir. In reply to the call attention motion moved by the Honourable Member from Umroy, George B. Lungda, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have this short reply. At the outset, I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to George B. Lungda, Honourable Member of this August House, for calling to the new item, for calling attention to the news item on the recapture 4 labour codes that everyone is talking about, which appears on the English News Business Standard dated 29 December 2021. Sir, the Second National Commission on Labour had recommended to consolidate all the existing labour laws of both the central and the state governments in the areas of wages, industrial relations, social security, and occupational safety, health and working condition by simplification, rationalization, and amalgamation into 4 labour codes. It is endeavour by the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India, to concise 23 labour acts into 4 labour codes. With this in mind, that the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India, formulate the 4 codes, and all these 4 codes were introduced in the Lok Sabha and thereafter referred to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Labour, which after extensive deliberation with the stakeholders presented their reports. Sir, there are 4 labour codes that the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India has formulated, which are as under. The Code on Wages 2019, which received the assent of the President on the 8th of March 2019. Number 2, the Industrial Relation Code 2020, which received the assent of the President on the 28th of September 2020. Number 3, the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 202/2020, which received the assent of the President on 28 September 2020. The Code on Social Security 2020, which received the assent of the President on 28 of September 2020. The copies of 4 codes are also available at the Government of India Labour Department websites. Now, these codes will come into force on such date as notified by the central government. Therefore, all rules are required to be framed by the concerned state government on priority basis. So, under the Code on Wages 2019, the rules are required to be formulated by the appropriate government as envisaged in the section 67 of the Code of Wages 2019. The central government intends to notify all the sections in accordance with section 1 within bracket 3 of the code. The Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India, had also published draft rules on 7 of July 2020 in the case where central government is the appropriate government. So under the Code on Wages 29 of 2019, the following 4 rules were merged. That is, 1, Payment of Wages Act 1936 and rules. 2, the Minimum Wages Act 1948 and rules. The Payment of Bonus Act 1965 and rules. The Equal Remuneration Act 1976 and rules. Honorable Sir, under the Industrial Relation Code 2020, the central government has taken steps for safeguarding the interests of trade union as well as the workers. In this code, all possible steps have been taken for industrial units and workers so that the disputes do not arise in future. So under the Industrial Relation Code 2020, the powers to make rules vest with the appropriate government as per section 99 of the Industrial Relations Code 2020. Honorable Sir, the Industrial Relation Code 2020, 35 of 2020, have subsumed the following rules, following 3 rules. 1, Industrial Dispute Act 1947 and rules. Number 2, the Trade Union Act 1926 and rules. The Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946 and rules. So under the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020, the security of interest of workers engaged in factories, mines, plantation, motor transport sector, BD and cigarette workers, contract and migrant workers has been ensured. So under the Occupational Society, Health and Working Condition Code 2020, powers to make rules vest with the appropriate government, the central government and the state government as per section 133, 134 and 135 respectively. So under the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020, 37 of 2020, as many as 10 existing acts and rules were merged. So under the Social Security Code 2020, to ensure security for all workers, the central government has amalgamated labor laws into the Social Security Code in order to secure the right of workers for insurance, pension, gratuity, maternity benefit, etc. Through this code, a comprehensive legal framework for Social Security has to be created so that workers can receive Social Security completely. Under this, in a stepwise manner, a system would be institutionalized for the contribution received from employer and workers. The government can fund the contribution of workers and disadvantaged section. So under the Social Security Code 2020, 36 of 2020, the existing 5 and rules were subsumed. So the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India, had requested to formulate the rules required to be framed by the state government in order to avoid vacuum in legislative sphere. Similarly, Honourable Minister of State, independent charge for Labour and Employment, Government of India had requested the Chief Minister for the same. So in order to expedite the process of drafting rules, for the 4 labor codes. The Labor Department, Government of Meghalaya, has 4 groups of officers under the Labor Commissioner's Office who were tasked with the work of framing a draft rules for the 4 labor codes. So the Labor Commissioner had forwarded the draft state rules, within bracket 1, occupational safety, health and working conditions. Code on wages, Meghalaya Rules 2021, Industrial Relation Rules 2021, Social Security Rules 2021, to the Law Department for vetting and advice, sir. The 4 draft labor codes are such on the process, and after receiving the views and comments on the draft rules from the Law Department, Government of Meghalaya, and the Finance Department, Government of Meghalaya, were equipped wherever required. The final draft rules would then be pre-published in the official gazette for seeking the views and comments of the stakeholder. The issues raised by the honorable member on the wages welfare of the workers will be looked then it will be pre-published in the official gazette for seeking the views and comments of the stakeholder. Honorable Speaker, sir, on highlighting the above on the status of the draft code on wages, draft code on industrial relations, draft code on occupational safety, health and working conditions, and draft code on social security. I hope that I have been able to enlighten and satisfy the honorable member, Shri George B. Lingdo, and I am hopeful that we will be able to pre-publish all the 4 codes at the earliest, so that they are pursued and examined by the stakeholder and consultation on the draft code. So with this word, I resume my seat.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I thank the Honorable Minister for the extensive reply and the efforts taken by the department to ensure that the codification of these codes are expedited and accepted by the government at the earliest, sir. And sir, those concerns that I have raised, I would request the Honorable Minister to kindly get those institutions inspected, at least for the benefit of the workers who, for obvious reasons, sir, they cannot come forward to complain, but then on their behalf, I register a complaint with the government for better wages and also for upholding the law and ensure that the minimum wages are not violated when it comes to employment of our beloved youth, sir. With these concerns, sir, I resume my seat, and once again thank you and the Honourable Minister.
Mr. Honourable Speaker, sir, I appreciate the suggestion and information of the Honourable Member from Umroy, George B. Nongrum. Lengdo. I also personally have a concern when you speak about laborers. Laborers are our very close friends. Laborers. So when you talk about laborers, it really touched my heart. And all the points have been noted down, and I request the concerned member, George B. Lungdo, who have tabled this motion, very important motion, and all other members of this August House to kindly come forward, come to my room in Secretariat or in my house. Together, we'll have further discussion how to make such good rules to protect the life and security and to uplift the day-to-day life of all the laborers of our state. Thank you, sir.
Can I also come to your house?
Sir,
Thank you.
so now that we have a Labour Minister with a big heart,
Yeah, because
so we hope the benefits also will go to the labourers, sir. Thank you, sir.
his house is nearby. We can go to his house now.